Hi, welcome to the third episode of The Republic by Plato. I remain Osho Abiodun. Today we are looking at the creation of the guardian. Every society eventually faces the same problem. Who will protect the state? And more importantly, who will protect the people from the protectors themselves? This is the crisis Plato begins to confront in episode 3 of The Republic. In the last episode, the peaceful city expanded into a luxurious society driven by desire and consumption. But luxury created competition, and competition created the need for war. Now, Socrates must answer a difficult question. How do you create powerful soldiers without creating dangerous tyrants? Socrates began by reminding everyone of an important principle they already agreed on earlier in the discussion. One person should focus on one profession. That is, the farmer should farm, the builder should build houses, the shoemaker should make shoes. In the same way, warfare also requires special training. A person cannot become an excellent soldier part-time. This idea still exists today. Modern nations do not depend on random citizens to defend the country during serious conflict. They train number one soldiers, police officers, intelligence, agents, special security forces. Because protection requires discipline, skill, and preparation. But Plato immediately notices a dangerous problem. If these guardians are trained only to fight, what will stop them from becoming dangerous to their own citizens? History gives many examples of this problem. Some armies created to defend nations later took political power for themselves. Some revolutionary groups that promised freedom later became oppressive. Some security agencies created to maintain order later abused innocent people. Plato understood that strength alone is dangerous. That is why Socrates says the guardian must combine two opposite qualities. They must be fierce towards enemies but gentle towards citizens. To explain this idea, Socrates uses the example of a well-trained dog. A good dog behaves calmly around the family it knows, but becomes aggressive when strangers attack. In the same way, the ideal guardian must know when to use force, when to show restraint, when to defend, and when to protect. Plato is not only talking about soldiers here, he is discussing power itself. How do societies create people with authority without allowing that authority to become destructive? This question still shapes modern politics today. It appears in discussions about police brutality, military coups, surveillance, authoritarians, government, abuse of political power. The challenge is always the same. How do you create protectors without creating oppressors? Socrates believes that the answer lies in education. Not education simply as learning information, but education as shaping character. This becomes one of the most important ideas in the entire Republic. Plato believes human beings are shaped by what they constantly hear, watch, and experience. Children learn values from stories, music, religion, culture, education, entertainment. Because of this, Socrates says society must carefully control the stories told to future guardians. This is where the discussion becomes controversial. Plato criticizes many traditional Greek stories because they portray gods as dishonest, jealous, violent, and immoral. Socrates fears that if children grow up constantly hearing stories that glorify bad behavior, they may eventually imitate that behavior themselves. And honestly, this debate still exists today. People continue asking, does violent entertainment influence behavior? Can social media shape morality? Can propaganda manipulate citizens? Can repeated misinformation influence election? Can online content radicalize young people? Modern governments, companies, and media organizations already understand the power of stories. That is why political campaigns use emotional messages. Companies carefully build public images. Nations teach history in specific ways. Social media platforms control what people constantly see. Plato understood something extremely important very early in history. Who controls culture can influence society itself. That is why the training of the guardians becomes so strict. They will study discipline, courage, physical training, music, morality, self-control. Plato believed a society slowly becomes what it repeatedly celebrates. If a society constantly rewards greed, dishonesty, corruption, selfishness, those behaviors slowly become normal. But if a society rewards wisdom, discipline, honesty, responsibility, those values become stronger over time. This is why Plato treats education as a matter of national survival. But this also creates another dangerous question. If leaders control stories and education, what stops them from manipulating the population? This question leads directly to one of the most controversial ideas in Republic, the noble lie. A story created by leaders to unite society and maintain stability. In the next episode, we will examine why Plato believes societies depend on shared myths, how governments use national stories, how propaganda shapes public opinion, and whether a society can survive without common beliefs. Because Plato is about to ask a disturbing question: can civilization exist without carefully constructed illusion? I remain your host, Osho Abiodun. Join me in the next episode to answer this question.